family. The species is an obligate myrmecophile requiring a close association with Lasiusniger because this ant species look after caterpillars of the butterfly from hatching to pupation. The butterfly was widely distributed in Britain. However, like other British butterfly, it declined by 80% and went extinct from most of its natural range due to the loss of biotops and mismanagement of habitat quality through unsuitable grazing and abandonment. So why this study has been conducted? This study has been conducted because the extirpation of P. argus made it a nationally circus butterfly and a priority species requiring a special management effort within the UK. As species extirpation results from habitat loss, habitat restoration is used as potential tool for the survival of extirpated species worldwide. And to test whether the habitat is fully restored, a reintroduction is used and has become a critical tool to conserve endangered and locally extinct species. The IUCN generated guidelines to follow for successful introduction, where a feasibility study is emphasized to assess the fundamental requirements or associated with focus species at the release site for successful introduction. National Trust and Butterfly Conservation in the UK are considering a project to introduce P. argus to Long Valley within Clumber Park, which is the last known site for this species in Nottinghamshire. Habitat restoration actions benefiting these butterfly species, including extensive grazing, are currently implemented on the release site. However, although this species, the ecology of this butterfly has been extensively studied, and it has also revealed that the butterfly species relies upon Lasiusniger, the distribution of ant colonies has never been investigated within Clumber Park. Therefore, by following IUCN guidelines for the introduction feasibility study, this present study aims to assess the distribution of the black ant, Lasiusniger, at Clumber Park, which is crucial for the successful introduction of P. argus butterfly. Specifically, this study was about to survey the site to locate and to map the distribution of ant colonies, to identify species of ant species present within Clumber Park, to evaluate the foraging distance of ant species, and to use GIS tools to create maps of potential introduction area for P. argus butterfly. A survey of ants has been carried out within Long Valley to address the following questions. What ant species are present at Long Valley? What is the distribution of Lasiusniger at Long Valley? What are the spatial patterns of ants found? Is there a relationship between Lasiusniger and environmental variables? Is there a difference in foraging range between ant species at Long Valley? And where should the introduction of silver-studded blue butterflies be forecast? In order to answer all the above mentioned questions, the study has been split into two phases, where the first phase was phase of locating ant nests and identification of species found. And then the second phase was phase of defining foraging ranges of ant species found within Long Valley. In order to locate and to identify ant species occurring within Long Valley, a systematic sampling approach was used by walking along evenly spaced transects, that is 50 meters between one transect and the other, and every 20 meters, hand searches for ant nests were conducted within 2 meters radius for 2 minutes, and the following information was recorded at each sampling point. The first information was the ant species, either presence or absence, nest frequencies for each species found, vegetation cover within a 2 meters radius, and location data using Trimble Geo7x Unity version 1.2. And for ant species unable to be identified in the field, 2 individuals were taken using a putter and placed in aseptically glass tubes of 20 milliliter for laboratory identification. And the identification was made under a camera microscope against Skinner and Allen's identification keys. This map is indicating how the phase of locating ant nest and identification of species has been done. On the left side, you can see worked transect during the survey of ant nest. Each golden point represents sampling point, and at each point, nest frequencies of ant species has been recorded within the 2 meters radius of each point, and vegetation cover within the 2 meters radius have been also recorded. And you can see the green polygon is the location of Clumber Park, my study location in outline of Great Britain, United Kingdom. And on the right side is the figure is showing how identification of ant species, which was unable to be identified in the field, how the identification has been done in the laboratory. You can see that it has been done under a camera microscope and against the Skinner and Allen's identification keys. The second phase of this study, as it has been previously said, was phase of defining foraging range of species found. And this foraging range was also investigated in the field, where a subset of 12 nests found within the location of locating ant nests was used for each species. However, although some nests were found to be clustered within the location site, it has been very important to locate other nests which fall beyond 2 meters radius in order to get foraging range at large scale, and in order also to avoid repeated measurement. And to investigate foraging distance, bait has been used, where bait stations were deployed in different directions of nests at different distance. However, as it has been revealed by previous researcher that distance to food source may influence foraging distance, bets were distributed 3 meters apart, though the first base station was placed at 50 centimeters in order to attract ants with food smells. Each bed station consisted of canned cat food placed on Wortmann filter paper of 90 millimeter in diameter, and foragers were monitored, and the maximum distance walked from the nest to the food source was measured with a tape measure and then recorded. As a result, ant species found within Long Valley, 4 ant species were revealed to occur within Long Valley, which are Myrmica ruginodis and Lasiusniger, Formica fusca, and Lasius flavus, where Myrmica ruginodis were found to be abundant species within the study location, and it was also followed by study species, which is Lasiusniger. And the least abundant species was found to be Lasius flavus. Regarding the distribution of Lasiusniger and 3 other ant species found, Myrmica ruginodis was found to be dominant species and widely distributed in various habitats, while Lasiusniger and the other two species were found to be restricted to a specific habitat. This map is indicating how the species found are distributed across Long Valley, which is our study site, where the blue points represent the Myrmica ruginodis, which is abundant species within our study location, and also which is also the widely distributed because it has been found within various habitats compared to other free species. These red points represent the study species, I mean black ant, Lasiusniger, which live in association with the butterfly silver studded blue. And you can see that these species, red points, were found to be in specific location. If you can look on the map closely, you can see that these species were found to be closer to the path on the verge of the paths where habitats are or vegetation are open. And looking at the green point, this is the distribution of Formica fusca, which was also found to be on the verge of woodland or near the shrubs, especially bramble or near large trees. And then the yellow points represent the distribution of Lasius flavus, which was also found to be the species which like open areas compared to Myrmica ruginodis, which like various vegetation. So looking on these maps, this is the distribution of each species based on nest densities. You can see that Myrmica, the pink point represent distribution of Myrmica ruginodis, which is abundant and widely distributed species, and red points indicate the distribution of black ant, Lasiusniger. Then green points represent the distribution of Formica fusca, and yellow points represent the distribution of Lasius flavus. You can see that Lasiusniger is clustered exhibit cluster distribution within the location where the big points represent where we have found 6 nests within 2 meters radius of location data. And you can clearly see that the distribution of Formica fusca were found to be closer to the woodland where there is on the verge of woodland or where there is shrubs. Studying spatial patterns of ant species occurring at Long Valley, the results of the nearest neighbor analysis indicate that Lasiusniger exhibit cluster distribution, while other species follow random distribution. This figure is indicating how the spatial patterns of each species, where Lasiusniger, our study species, follow cluster distribution, while other species, I mean Lasius flavus, Formica fusca, and Myrmica ruginodis follow random distribution. One of our objectives was also to study the relationship between Lasiusniger and environmental variables, and non-metric mid-dimensional scaling showed that percentage cover of Calluna vulgaris explains the presence and nest density of Lasiusniger. On this figure, you can see that Calluna vulgaris is closer to the position of Lasiusniger. So this means that there is correlation between Lasiusniger and Calluna vulgaris. However, this map cannot indicate which relationship between Calluna vulgaris and the Lasiusniger. Therefore, it has been very important test result showed a significant positive correlation between nest of Lasiusniger and percentage cover of Calluna vulgaris, which is a potential host plant of P. argus, meaning that the nest of Lasiusniger increase with the increase of percentage cover of Calluna vulgaris. We have also studied the foraging range of species found within Long Valley because it is very important to know how far the species go for foraging, because during this behavior activity, the butterflies, caterpillars of butterflies are adopted. So it was very important to know how far associated species go for foraging. Although our aim was to study the foraging range of all species found, Lasius flavus has been excluded within the analysis of foraging range because these species have the below ground foraging behavior. So we didn't get enough data. That's why we have this species has been excluded within the foraging range analysis. And the results showed that foraging range differs significantly between ant species. As you can see, the Lasiusniger have smaller foraging range compared to the other two species, where the Formica fusca have the large foraging range and followed by Myrmica ruginodis. But this figure couldn't also show which species differ from the other in the foraging range. So that's why we had to study to do a post hoc test using Dun's test for multiple comparisons in order to assess which species differ from another in foraging distance. And we found that all species differ in foraging ranges, as P adjusted was found to be less than 0.05. And this table also showed that Lasiusniger have the smaller foraging range compared to the other ant species, I mean Formica fusca and Myrmica ruginodis. So as conservation recommendations, because this study aims to assess the feasibility of reintroducing the silver-studded blue within Long Valley. So for maintaining P. argus population at Long Valley, reintroduction should be planned carefully. And based on the ecology of P. argus, field surveys and findings of this study, potential introduction site for P. argus butterfly should be area containing the highest density of Lasiusniger and Calluna vulgaris, because Lasiusniger is potential host ant and the Calluna vulgaris is potential host plant. So the potential introduction site should be area containing the highest density of Calluna vulgaris and the highest density of Lasiusniger, which are the potential hosts for host plant and host ant for P. argus. So therefore the potential introduction site for P. argus has been suggested to be this area delineated by yellow line. Although P. argus is an obligate myrmecophile, density and abundance of Lasiusniger and Calluna vulgaris cannot guarantee the introduction success if butterfly eggs are not within the foraging range of Lasiusniger, because during the foraging activities, Lasiusniger ants adopt the larvae or caterpillars of this butterfly. Therefore, the results suggest that introduction of butterfly eggs must be within the foraging of Lasiusniger, which is 1.45 meter for successful introduction of P. argus. This map identifies the location of Lasiusniger with Calluna vulgaris within foraging range. It has been very important to identify where nests of were found to be with Calluna vulgaris, a potential host plant of P. algas within foraging range, in order to make the reintroduction project successful. Although a potential introduction site was delineated, it is also very important to consider creating suitable habitat conditions for P. algas through management actions and by planting Calluna vulgaris, as some nests of Lasiusniger lack Calluna vulgaris within the foraging range. So in order to make the project successful, it has been very important to know that management actions are needed, and the opportunities for planting Calluna vulgaris, a potential host plant of butterfly, and where management practice should be focused to create conditions for P. algas as well as for Lasiusniger before implementing the reintroduction project has been also suggested. And this is the location management actions should be focused and opportunities for planting colonies with association with Lasiusniger, and which are also potential host plants and host ant of silver-studded blue butterfly. So area delineated with yellow line is the potential priority site for planting Calluna vulgaris, because these nest ants lack Calluna vulgaris within foraging range, and you know that the butterfly eggs must be within the foraging range, within the foraging range of ant species to allow adoption of caterpillars. So therefore, this site was also designated for priority site for planting Calluna vulgaris. And as you know, or some of you know, the habitat connectivity is very important to allow the distribution and abundance of butterflies. Therefore, other sites has been also recommended in case of creating other suitable habitat or creating connectivity. These are also areas of potential reintroduction or other areas or other opportunities for planting Calluna vulgaris, and for also prioritizing management actions which can increase Lasiusniger occupancy, because in some areas we have found nests of Lasiusniger but without Calluna vulgaris within foraging ranges. So it is very important to plant Calluna vulgaris within this location. And we have also found in some areas in this area the abundant Calluna vulgaris but without ants. So it will also be important to create open area which increase occupancy of Lasiusniger for successful reintroduction of P. algas. So as conclusion, a survey of ant distribution within Long Valley was conducted for the feasibility of reintroducing silver-studded blue to Clumber Park. The study focuses on the positive relationship between the butterfly and Lasiusniger, known to tend the caterpillars of P. algas from hatching and to pupation, and because this species protect the butterfly against predation and parasitism. So the results show the presence of Lasiusniger on the site, and that this species exhibit cluster patterns, meaning that suitable conditions of Lasiusniger occupancy, especially microclimate and food availability, are partially distributed. Appropriate management practice, including grazing, will increase Lasiusniger occupancy. Positive association between Lasiusniger and Calluna vulgaris is crucial for the introduction success, and the introduction of butterfly eggs must be within the foraging range of black ants nest, which has been found to be 1.45 meter for successful reintroduction. It has also been revealed that by previous researchers that Lasiusniger and Myrmica ruginodis are competitor species, and the later species, I mean Myrmica ruginodis, had the highest frequency on the site and occurred with Lasiusniger infrequently. According to research, also the management practice benefiting Lasiusniger and P. argus outcompete Myrmica ruginodis. Therefore, this study suggests that it will be better to decrease the abundance of Myrmica ruginodis through management actions benefiting silver-studded blue butterfly and Lasiusniger for successful reintroduction. Comparing host plant, host and connectivity, as well as light intensity at the potential release site, with those where the P. argus populations are viable, will generate further information on whether the standard requirements to implement the introduction side of the scope of this study. So this is the end of the presentation. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Anne, for your good presentation and interesting research. I would like to welcome comments and questions. You can either put your question or comment in the chat room or unmute to say something if you need to. Yeah, you are welcome. Anyone who has a question or a comment? I can see that maybe you are still thinking about it, but I have a question for Anne. Anne, do you think that the management practice of a person can influence the distribution of P. argus, especially managing it in such a way that its competitor is not going to grow in size, but only P. argus? Is that possible?
Yeah, all management practice are very important for allowing the distribution of PRE management action that allow the distribution and abundance of P. argus are grazing, extensive grazing to create open areas, because these species like open areas, and also the host ant like open areas. So management actions which allow to create open areas favorize the distribution and abundance of P. argus. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. But my worries is that when you create maybe an open space to favor P. argus, maybe there are some other species you may get
Yeah,
out, if I can say that.
yeah, you are
Uh,
right.
how do we ensure the balance?
So this the balance is that if we want to reintroduce and there is a conflict species within the location, this will not will not succeed, the project will not succeed. Therefore, a feasibility study is needed to make sure that the project will be successful. So we will, for success, that it doesn't mean that to allow the distribution of other, meaning that to compute the other species, but if there is over competition, we need to decrease abundance of conflict species, or to manage abundance of conflict species in order to allow the abundance of other species.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
Yeah, also, did you study about particular ecosystems is provided by Plebejus just for you to make it very special in your study? Because
Yeah,
it seems like they wanted to reintroduce it, but I am not sure why and what are the management goals for the introduction of Plebejus in a given ecosystem.
so you know that although many people don't care about invertebrates, but invertebrates are very important in ecosystem because they are pollinators. Hello.
Yes, I can see, I can hear you.
Yeah, because invertebrates pose different challenges to conservationists because these species are very susceptible to environmental changes, and many invertebrates are also unable to travel long distance during their lifetime, which makes them particularly sensitive to habitat loss. Because these species are also experiencing decline, and they are important because they provide ecosystems. So that's why it is very important to manage the species to avoid the extinction of the species.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to welcome other people who may have questions or comments. Just unmute and say something if you want to.
So, sorry, when if you would like to know me to mention some of their ecosystem stuffs, so I think we can say that they serve as herbivores and detritivores. They are also source of other animals.
Any more question or comment? Maybe I can read a comment from Hilary McBean, also a question. He started by saying, a very interesting talk. Thank you. I have seen silver studded bruise at the press in the West Midland. How long would it be between habitat preparation and the introduction of Plebejusargus eggs?
Thank you very much for wonderful question. I think I can state that this will take like 1 year or 2 years because this study is long-term study. This was the first stage of knowing the fundamental requirement of this species. For instance, the distribution of black ant. But as I said it at the end of my presentation, there are also other things we need to take care about in order to prior to the reintroduction, including host plant density. So we need to compare where the species is viable and on our release site to see how the condition on the where species or where population is viable to compare with the condition at our release site. And when we see that our release site is in a good condition or is in the same condition as the condition on the same where the P. argus is viable, the reintroduction will be implemented. So right now I can't tell that this will happen within 1 year or within 2 years. It will depend on the further study.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gilbert Ndatimana has a question which says, thank you for a good presentation. Can you please help me get to know what decline the species of interest in the area? I think that should be also a good factor to be considered while introducing it. A very important question.
So repeat the question, please.
Yeah, it's about initial factors which led to the local extinction of P. argus. Because
Yeah,
it's very important to take that into consideration when reintroducing a given species.
so thank you very much for the question. In general, for butterflies, because these species are reluctant, meaning that they are unable to travel long distance within their lifespan. Most of species are extinct because of mismanagement of their habitat quality. Everywhere where this species has been not, where the habitat has been not taken in care, the species has extinct and are facing massive decline. Only the mismanagement of the habitat are the initial factor of decline or of massive decline and extinction, as well as extirpation of butterfly species, not only for silver-studded blue, but also for other butterflies.
Okay. Yeah, maybe that make it easy to reintroduce the species, because if it's the influence of people, then the influence of people can also reverse the problem.
Yeah.
Can I say something about the loss of habitat? Yeah, because I'm in the UK and I've seen good silver-studded blue habitat. But looking at Clumber Park and looking at the path system, I suspect that the problem is, first of all, overgrazing by rabbits and possibly deer, grazing down the Calluna. And also with all those paths, there's probably quite a lot of disturbance by feet of people walking around, dogs, and heathland across England. So maybe that's the problem, and they may need to, in the end, fence off protected areas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's very important. Yeah. Any more question or comment? No question or comment?
I hope the audiences will just be a mix.
I don't get you, Hilary.
No worries, it was a mistake. Sorry, my fault.
Yeah, there is someone who raised the hand. Maybe it's Estrat.
Yeah, thank you, Vena and Anne. I had a similar comment to Hilary, but bit. I don't know the area, but actually, these small species extinction, if it is extinction, might be caused by other external factors, if I can call external factors, or environmental factors, such
Yeah.
as the other animals using the area, but also the changes which are caused by loss of one species, which might be known or not known. I
Yeah.
would caution the people who will be doing the reintroduction to make further research to know really the reasons behind this decline or this loss of the plant. I mean the species. I have been hearing the plant Calluna vulgaris.
Yeah.
Maybe that plant might not be a solution if you are proposing to be planted. It might not be the solution for the recovery of the population of those butterflies. But in reality, this is a very good study, and sometimes there are species which we neglect, but which are very important in the ecosystem services and ecosystem functioning, of course. Thank you.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
of
much.
course. That's
Yeah,
the
of course.
reality. Go on.
Yeah, of course, there are other factors which may influence the extinction or loss of some species, and including also climate change may be also one of a factor of extinction of some species. Chemical pollution can also be a cause of decline or loss of some species. But this species forecast, the aim of this species was to focus on the availability of host plants and host ants. It doesn't mean that we don't care about other factors, but as the ecological study has revealed that these species live in close association with the black ant, because this species is very important for the distribution, for the survival of the Plebejus. So that's why our this study focused on the relationship of these types, but that's why I said that I can't say the introduction will be implemented within 2 years, within 1 year. It will depend on the findings of further studies. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yes, you are right. The feasibility study is needed whenever they wanted to
Yeah, to
introduce
introduce
a
species. Yeah,
given species.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we first the study based on the we look on other factors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any more question or comment? If no, we can close by here. But before closing, I'd like to thank Anne for her good presentation and also good research. Great job. And also, I'd like to thank you all who were able to attend this seminar today. I'd like to invite you for the next seminar on the next Wednesday at 3 p.m. as usual. Another thing, if you have a topic or something you need to present in SWB seminar series, please get in touch with me. Can put you on the schedule each grow together. Bye. See you next time. It was nice to have you all.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.